No, instead, I want to zoom out. I want to talk about how this episode serves as yet another example of conservatives' uncanny, otherworldly ability to make a Mount Kilimanjaro out of a molehill. Because it's a talent that liberals and leftists don't appear to have the skill or inclination to mimic. You see, while Democrats pass the poll numbers and worship at the altar of kitchen table issues in election after election, year after year, Republicans, you may have noticed, talk about whatever they damn well please. And they can do so because Republicans don't follow the news, they don't just comment on the news, they make the news. They settle on a scandal du jour, and whether you like it or not, that becomes the discourse. It's at the top of every cable news show, on the front of every newspaper. And I mean that literally. The New York Times, the grey lady, this nation's purported paper of record, slathered five Claudine Gay stories on its front page just this Wednesday alone. Now, in fairness to the Times, there's not much else going on. It's not like, there's a war in Gaza or a war in Ukraine or an out-and-out fascist poised to sweep the Iowa caucuses. Nothing going on. But I digress. This is hardly the first time the mainstream media has played patsy for far-right bad actors, but it may be the first time they did so, as said far-right bad actors were mid-Bond villain, mid-Sith Lord monologue, explicitly reveling in their grand plan to, quote, smuggle the plagiarism story into the media apparatus of the left, legitimizing the narrative to the center-left, and then squeeze. Again, my aim tonight is not to reconsider or re-prosecute the case of Claudine Gay. Others can and have been doing that endlessly. No, the big story here, in my view, is that arch-conservatives have gotten very, very good at setting the agenda, at working the refs, at hoodwinking the press and pundit class into obsessing over the ridiculous non-issues that they care about. Not most Americans, that they care about. And let me be clear, this is not meant to be an indictment of Republicans, far from it. If anything, it's a compliment to their political ninjutsu. And really, a condemnation of the liberals and leftists who have watched this being done to them for years and never attempted to try something similar themselves, let alone call it out. Think about it. The uproar over Claudine Gay follows the uproar over DEI, which followed CRT, which followed Bud Light, which followed the green M&M, which followed Mr. Potato Head, which followed, heck, if you go back far enough, President Obama's tan suit. People talk an awful lot about the so-called liberal media. But if the media really is so lefty, so liberal, so pinko, why, pray tell, does so much of our media spend so much time obsessing over exactly what conservatives want them to? Coming up after the